All right. Good morning, everyone. Get all the things lined up here so that we can connect with each other. Today, we're still talking about how we acquire or connect with new tunes. And sometimes this gets talked about in terms of, looks like the chat might be working today. And the key might be to start the chat before you start the live stream. Aha! The things one learns. So, first we talked about learning by eye, which is when you can see what's going on. Hi, Nan. Is watching what someone is doing and making sure that whatever you do, whatever instrument it is, you do the same things they do. Like this, you can see I'm not doing this with my fingers, so I'm not doing that style of playing. And I don't go any higher than the 5th fret, which is where the other tuner is. And one of the things I know is that banjos are usually tuned to an open G. So no matter what instrument I'm on, I'm going to know some things. And I'm telling you this, so if you didn't know it, now you know it. So we're in G, and you might know this tune. We've talked about the fact that there's usually 3 chords. If G is the first chord, the other 2 chords are going to be C and D using the handy dandy chord finder. So on whatever instrument you're on, if you know the key they're in, you can use the handy dandy chord finder to predict what the chords are going to be and see if those work. Now this is one I've been playing a long time. I've been playing on a lot of instruments. Cripple Creek. And I do need to also say that hi Jim, that if you are seeing the closed caption transcription that's going on in Facebook, that's up to you. You can turn that off in your settings. It's something that's buried. I've had some people give the feedback that it's covering up what you're trying to see on the instrument. And that is actually a setting that you as the viewer are in charge of, whether you see or do not see the closed captioning. So first we talked about looking and seeing where things are. Then last week we talked about the ear and noticing on a banjo like this, this is tuned to an open chord, so every string is the note that's a part of that chord. It's a G chord, so I have a G, B, D, G, D, D, G, D, G, B, D, D. And I can't get that one. No! Maybe I can if I... it's kind of early for that. But if I know that, a lot of songs start at home. Not all do. Some start on the 3rd step of the scale, which would be a B in this case. Some start on the G or the D, and some start on the high G. I've never played that one on the banjo before. So I have a mental map, and that's what's revealing what we're going to talk about today. So we first talked about watching and looking with your eye. The second one is listening by ear. The third one is immersion. So this is one of those tunes that I've been immersed in since I was a child as a Christmas carol. This is why I invite people when they're learning an instrument not to learn new music at the same time, to take the music they've known the longest in their life, the stuff that's back in the early memory, back from childhood, from Sunday school, from church, from grade school, from the playground, from lullabies that your mother or your father or your grandma and your aunt or uncle sang to you, the kinds of things that are in us deeply, for which we have a mental map. When we are taking those songs that we know when they're right and wrong and putting them on an instrument, it helps us learn it helps us gain confidence in the music that's already in us, which a lot of us don't have. It also helps us know that we can take what's in us and not lose it as we put it on an instrument, whatever instrument it is, because the instruments are all different from each other in a little bit of a way. So we're not learning all at the same time how the song goes and how the instrument works. We're taking the thing we know and putting it on the instrument we're learning. Once we know that, we might be able to translate this to a different instrument. So for example, mandolin was the next stringed instrument for me after guitar, and then mountain dulcimer. But if I learned the tunes on the mandolin, which I was amazed to learn it's tuned just like a fiddle, and I was trying to play fiddle tunes, I was trying to play Celtic tunes, and it turned out they laid on the mandolin so nicely because, well, they've been carried forward all these years on a 4-string instrument tuned the same way. I could learn the tunes on the mandolin, and then I could play them. Once I learned them there from the book or from listening or from sitting with other people, then I could translate it to another instrument. And for years, my first way of learning new tunes in those genres was on the mandolin. And once I had them there and knew how they went, then I would try to transfer to the guitar. I would try to transfer to the mountain dulcimer, try to transfer to the hammer dulcimer. I don't know that I've actually transferred anything directly from the mandolin to the banjo. I don't know that I have. That's an interesting. It's already gone through the other ones. And eventually, my experience is when I do that translation, at some point, I don't need the intermediary instrument anymore, and I can start finding it on the instrument that I was on. Now, I knew this was the case because my first instrument was the piano. And in the piano schooling of the day, which was the 60s, the mid-60s, you were not supposed to play by ear. You were supposed to learn to read the notes. That's why you didn't start lessons until you could actually read English. You wait till children can comprehend the abstractness of the things on the page meaning something somewhere else. Good point, Jim. Mando equals hando equals lin for violin. Good point. So what I would do is learn everything by what was written there. I didn't even try to figure out a lot of stuff on the piano because the goal and all the encouragement and all the good applause and support I got from my teacher was based on, can you take what's the black stuff printed on the page and put it into the keyboard? It was much later that I learned to trust my ear with the piano, but I was very, what people would often describe as paper trained. And if it was on paper, I could figure it out. I may not be fast at it, but I knew where the notes that were on that paper were on the instrument. The thing that was particularly helpful for is on a piano, there's only one place to get any one of those notes. On a banjo, on a guitar, on a mandolin, on a violin, on a hammer dulcimer, mountain dulcimer, every stringed instrument like that, there's always more than one place to get the same pitch. And so that's why the musical notation is of value, but not specific enough. This high G is the same as this high G, is the same as this high G, is is the same as this high G. And I'm past the frets now, but that same high G, there's 5 different places to get the exact same pitch on this instrument. And the musical notation only lets me know what the pitch is. It tells me how long to hold it and what the dynamics are that I need to use, but it doesn't tell me where to get it on the instrument. That's where tablature came from. So all of those things go together as tools to help learn. In the immersion method that I'm talking about, or the immersion aspect, is we use all of these things. We don't say one is better than the other. We use listening. We use memory. We use watching. We use making our hands do. If you're trying to learn claw hammer, cover all the strings so you can have your thumb do the pop on that high string. Do what they're doing at the same time they're doing, and do the part you can do, and then add in the other things. And then listen to the recordings. You can find. YouTube didn't exist. It does now. Watch and listen there. And then there's the musical notation. There's tablature. All of these things are the tools of immersion. Becoming acquainted with all the different possible tools and learning this is the easiest for me. Now, what isn't easy is that a tool that I can use. So I've got a flathead screwdriver and I have a Phillips screw head. I've got to screw in or out. I better go get me a Phillips head screwdriver. I need to pry something and I've got a screwdriver. Not the best tool for that job. Get a pry bar. I need to hammer something, but it's just a little brad into a frame because I'm putting together a frame that I'm going to have to put it in the wall. I don't need a maul. That's going to be way too heavy for what's going on. I need a tack hammer. So you're finding all the different tools that are appropriate for the job and fine tuning that as well. That's immersion. When I want to learn a tune by ear, I try to find either someone who can play it for me so I can listen. And if I'm in a jam session or a circle and somebody's playing a tune and it really gets my attention, I won't try to play. I'll listen at least one time through. And then I might say, as I'm listening, seems like the B part of this tune's the one I'm going to get better with. So I'm listening to them. They're going ba ba da 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 ba da ba da bum bum. Very scalar and jumpy a little bit. Ba da bum bum ba da dum bum ba da bum bum ba da dum bum. There's a nice slide. So there's a very repetitive part, and it's not going all over the scale, and it's basically going between the second and the fourth fret, and then the second, and it's got some pull-offs and stuff. So that's what I'm going to try. I'm not going to try the A part until I have part of the song. So in the immersion of it's like, okay, I got the B part of this song. That's good. Every time it comes up, I'm going to do it again. Eventually, I'll try to go from the B into the A. Sometimes that's the other way around. The A part of the song is the one that provides the entry point for me, and I'll jump right in. And then it's like, not so sure about the B. So I'll do the part I can every time it is and try to figure out the other part. If I'm, as a touring musician, I'm driving a lot, and that's one of those times to learn new tunes. As part of an ensemble, when I've toured with bandmates, we will listen, or even while the driver's driving, singing their part, we'll play our parts so we can do the rehearsal in the car, or the driver will sing us the tune and we'll sing along. We'll sing our parts even without our instruments. As a solo performer, I'm listening to tunes. I'll be playing through a recording. It's like, oh, that's what I want to know. Repeat, 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 repeat. Turn it off, sing it. Can I get the whole thing? Okay, play it again, repeat, repeat, sing it, turn it off, sing it with no, do a rest stop, see if I can sing it when I'm heading into the facilities. When I come back out, can I still sing it? When I'm pumping gas, can I still sing it? I'm, excuse me. Oh, my bandmate Aaron Rogers Clark would say, teach it, sing it to the birds, teach it to the birds. When you're learning a new tune, you teach it to the pigs, teach it to the dog, teach it to the cat, teach it to the horse. Wherever you are, do that song and share it with another being. Is that she's on a farm, obviously. And so she's sharing the tune with all these different creatures, because as she's thinking about performing, sharing the tune with them, what she's doing is solidifying it in her brain. And the fact of sharing it or teaching it to them is, for me, the proof in the pudding. My master's degree in music education had its terminal project, a master's thesis, using the curriculum procedure of understanding by design, which means I'm not just throwing spaghetti against the wall hoping that everybody catches it. I'm designing what I'm doing so that it is possible for the student to have understanding at the end. And one of the things that did for me was shift my intention from me saying the same things over and over again to me asking questions and having the students demonstrate real life experiences, because it's in that demonstration that I'll know that they understand what we're talking about. So I'll often give brand new students the task of introducing their instrument to a family member. As they're learning all the parts of their instrument, tell a family member what they are, because that helps them remember in order that someone else can try to get it. And they'll come back and tell me, I taught them how to. It's like, yeah, because they also develop capacity. They develop confidence in their capacity to learn and share this information. So when I'm working on a new tune, if I get half of it, that's cool. If I can comprehend how the tune behaves, that's important. That's important data. Is this a AABB tune? Is this an AB tune? Is this an AABA tune? Is this a tune that just has an A? You may have different words, but there's only one set of music. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land is made for you and me. As I was walking, same music as the verse and the chorus have the same music. When I notice that, I have an I just have to learn one thing. That's important. Listening for things that repeat. Where does that happen the same, and where does it happen similarly? Those are all the things I'm listening for in the comprehension of what this tune does. Then I can comprehend it. Can I do it? That's the next step. Can I go through, are there parts of it? That's the A and the B part. Which part can I play? Can I get part of it? Can I get some of it? Can I get all of it? Can I get most of it? That varies depending on the tune. Sometimes I only get the part I like. Let's see. I'm going through this tune because I'm remembering this is one I learned from the Boiled Buzzards. Dan Levinson, and it's on the banjo, and an amazing harmonica player. I can't remember who the other players are in this band, but they had a cassette recording, the Boiled Buzzards. They're, I think it was mostly Northern Michigan musicians, And this tune's called Three Thin Dimes. It's a 3-part tune. And the first part walks down all the way down the scale. A part. The B part is lower. So that was a little jumpy, so a little more tricky. But here's the part I wanted to learn. I wanted that Mixolydian kind of flavor. And then it got all linear after that. So the reason I'm driving down the road listening and I hear this tune, it's like, oh, that third part, I've got to learn that. The cost of learning that, the part I wanted, was learning the other 2 parts too. They turned out to be a little bit easier to figure out. I think it was the C part was the easiest, and then the A part, that's just like a finger exercise. That was a little trickier because of the jumpiness of it. So I learned this tune C, A, and B in that order, and then had to put the pieces together. But what I did was immerse myself in the tune. I listened. I sang, I whistled, I whistled. I did everything I could to absorb the tune. And then from that, I would find myself, and because I did that constant inputting of the tune, listening to it and engaging with it, I couldn't play my instrument because I was driving. But I could, every time I was on that tour for those, it's like, it's time to drive, it's time to listen. I need 3 thin dimes. And then when it finally came, when I finally felt like, I think I have this tune, then it's time to create a lesson. And actually that lesson, I believe I'm going to share my screen once I find it. Let's get to member lessons, jamming tunes. I thought it was in here. Let's do a search. Hey, you can do the search with me. How about that? Let me share my screen. In Dulcimer Crossing, we have this little searchlight over here. When you click, or a magnifying glass, you can go through and decide how many lessons you want on a page displayed. And because 3 is a T, I'm going to go to the end and come backwards and see where it is. What do you know? I think I intended to teach that tune, but I don't have a lesson here for it. Huh. You know what I get to do? But in the point here is that any lesson that I'm trying to learn, I click on this, that link takes me to the lesson, and I can see the demo of it, whether I'm a member or not. And this is just the Dulcimer Crossing thing. If you have a white background, you're looking at things from the outside. You're peeking in through the window. You can watch the demonstration of it. And I don't have my volume up because I don't want a feedback loop. And then if you're logged in, once you log in as a basic member, let me actually stop sharing for a minute because I want to open 2 windows here and compare. So you can see that. Okay, there's that one. And here's this one. And here's, should probably put that one in the same. These two should be in the same window. There we go. They should be in tabs next to each other. Good. Now let's do one more. Side-by-side comparison. No, I didn't think about this before. These guys. Okay. So now let's share the screen. Application window. Here we go. So when I'm not logged in, it looks like this. And let's go and see if we can find that Polywally doodle that we were just looking at. If I'm logged in as a basic member, that's why this is yellow. It's yellow here. And I can go to all these different ways to get there. I can go to Dulcibro. There we go. Polywally. And I see the same thing that I did here, but because background is yellow, it means I'm logged in. The other thing that happens is all of these other lessons and all the stuff about how to, the PDFs and the things that support the tune are available to members when they're logged in. So all these black things become links that take you to the parts you want to see. And if I'm logged in as a premium member, then not only do I get all of these things, but when I go to live events, I get access to things like the archives that we've talked about here. These are the things we've been looking at. Oh my goodness, I ended up outside. I want to go back. Okay, that's what I had to do. I have to come down here to live events this way. And because because the blue background is here, I have access to all the archives of the live events we've had. In addition, we also have access to the backing tracks library so that I could have something I could play along with. And right now we have 75 different tracks in there. Now, I learned that I don't have 3 thin dimes in here. And so I'm going to have to teach that now. It's an A tune. So for the banjo, what I would do is I'd watch and see, oh, they're capoing. The banjo's capoed up to the 2nd fret. It was G. Now it goes up 2 half steps. Something like that. It's an A tune, and it's got the C part, and it's got that mixolydian thing. It works on the mountain dulcimer really well. On the mountain dulcimer, I guess I play it in D with a 6.5 fret. Yeah, interesting. Well, that's I went. Sorry about that. I went down this path on this tune. What I want to do, that's what I wanted to share with you. Immerse yourself in all the different ways you can know the tune, and give yourself patience. That's the other thing. Give yourself some time to learn it. Don't be disappointed if you don't get it right away. Some of these things take years. Sometimes the tunes don't reveal themselves to us until we're ready. They give us the overall shape, but they don't let us see behind the curtain. I have often said, as I've been learning tunes from Don Petty, for example, I'll play with him and he'll just smile and say, you're getting it, you're getting it, which means to me, I know that I'm in the neighborhood, but I don't quite have it yet. And there's something there that's waiting for me. And it may be because I don't get to sit with Don. He lives in the other end of the country. When we get to sit with each other, I'll go through it. And I said, can we do that tune? He goes, sure. And we'll be playing that tune. And then all of a sudden it's like, I hear the thing that wasn't there. And my eyes will go like this and he'll grin really big. And I'll start doing, he says, now you got it. But it might take years for that to happen. There might be a year of me trying to play it before I get back to him before I can put that piece in. And so patience is your friend. Learning in this old time traditional way, that patience is a virtue, and it's accessible to us because the traditional way of learning is to sit knee to knee with people, develop relationships with them as you develop a relationship with the tune. And, you don't have to agree with people about everything that they think or do in order to treasure the tunes that they carry. That's the other thing. The tune is what's pure. And if your motive is to learn the tune, I think you can get along with a lot of people. So let me ask if you have any questions right now. There you go. And sometimes, Jim, when the student is ready, the tune will appear. Sometimes the tune appears to whet the appetite. You'll hear something and it'll grab you. So maybe that's the little quiz we can do right now. What is a tune that grabbed you and wouldn't let you go until you learned it? Three Thin Dimes is one I just told you about. I'm making a big long list in my head, but that's what I would like you to do. We like to be in charge of everything, but sometimes it's like, I remember at 6th grade, we go over to the next town over that had a roller rink, and we'd skate and we'd have a good time, always going clockwise because that's the way things are. And then at a certain point, the DJ, I don't even think we called him a DJ at the time, but whoever was running the sound would dim the lights and put on the mirror ball, and the boys would line up on one wall and the girls would line up on another wall, and it was a couples skate. And you stand there hoping someone will pick you, fearing someone will pick you, trying to get up the nerve to go ask somebody, and then, do I have enough armor if she says no? Or, I'm not a very good skater. If I go over there and ask her, and then she says yes, and then I fall down right away, that'll be embarrassing. And in the midst of all that drama, this girl that was older than me came over and asked me to skate. It's like, what? Oh, oh, yeah, okay, let's do that. And it's like she wasn't a year older. She was like a couple years older. And I don't know why she thought, she asked me. I have no idea. But when you're skating with somebody, you're holding their hand. And she was a member of my church, but I didn't really know her. I knew her family, but it was like, oh, it was like the tune that gets your attention when you're in the midst of all your other stuff. It's like, let's skate. Like, ah. So Jim Fry, you're saying Carolyn's Concerto. You knew it was possible in spite of all evidence to the contrary. Yeah, it's a long piece. It's very involved, right? But it's also accessible. Black Water. Oh, by Gene Ritchie. Black water, running down through my land. Yeah, yeah. That's making me think of another Gene Ritchie one. And I told you that I was paper trained first, so a lot of my first entry into a lot of things was with books and sheet music, folios, and I didn't have a way to play music. I had a portable mono cassette tape player that I would put on because my car didn't have a radio, my VW Bug. So I'd put it on the seat next to me and make sure I have enough batteries to keep the thing running while I'm driving across the country. And I would have LPs, but I never had a turntable. So I go to a friend's house that had a turntable and tape my LPs and then play the tapes while I cross the country. So it was several steps removed. So songs like Blackwater is one that I didn't hear sung. I saw written in the book. Folks all love her. She's young and funny. My heart binding. Every morning, again at evening, night and nooning, still I love her. Still I love her. Still I love her. Though she knows it, still I tell her. Every morning, again at evening, night and nooning, still I love her. Jean wrote that for her husband. Charlie? Is he my Charlie? No. My Bonnie. Maybe she didn't write it. Maybe it's just one of those family tunes. But I learned it from her book. It just got my attention. It was 6/8. That was one piece. It was a jig, and so those get my attention first. And then I married somebody I could sing it to because her name was Connie. Bonnie and Connie. Ah. So I had another reason to learn the tune. Over the Waterfall. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I think it's also useful to go back to the tunes that first got our attention to figure out what was it about them that got our attention, and what did we learn by learning that tune, because that can help apply to other things. So now we're getting a little immersed in our own musical history. That's not a bad immersion. And I know this is not a unique thing, but I think the most important part is when you're in the middle of it, all of it is good for what you're trying to do. So it's like when I get in the swimming pool, everything I'm doing is about swimming. I'm focused. I may get into a rhythm where I can think about other things, because for me, swimming is meditative. So it's prayer time, it's meditation time, it's thinking through problems time. It's all of that, all while I'm doing this physical activity and counting laps. But that's definitely immersion. That's an example of that. And I think maybe that's why the immersion works, because I'm so focused on it. I'm putting it into my awareness and attention. I will sing the songs in my sleep. I'll wake up singing them from yesterday or 2 or 3 days ago. I'll play them in my sleep. I'll dream them. Like Rick Thumb recently talked about his Spider on the Bedpost tune. I think it was in Dulcimer Players News, this most recent issue. I think that's where I saw it. But I've heard him tell the story before that he dreamt the tune and he got up and played it. And then he kept playing for everybody and says, "What is this tune? What is this tune?" Nobody knew it. He realized, I think I composed it in my sleep. And then I just woke up and played it. And then I wrote it down and captured the performance. And it's a fun tune, Spider on the Bedpost is what he called it. Crack to your ears. I love that, Jim. Jim Thornton says Wildwood Flowers tune was or is like crack to my ears. I just had to learn it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's useful to remember what those tunes are. In our Habits for the Healthy Music Habitat, Aubrey Atwater has one habit where she says, sometimes we try to learn too many tunes, and it can be useful to just go back and find the ones that we first fell in love with and play that tune over and over again and try to figure out what was it that attracted me to it, and find out I really do love this tune. Isn't it a nice tune? That's just one of her great habits. Because I think in our quest sometime, I'm going to type this in. Sometimes we're so interested in acquiring new ones that we overlook the ones that were our first love. You know, there's some sweetness with that first love. So I guess in conclusion, what I want to say today is immerse yourselves in the tunes. Don't forget the tunes that were the first ones. Try to figure out what from those first ones helped you get to the next ones. You could even, here's a project. Write your biography in tunes. What is my bio according to tunes that I know or that I was taught? That'd be an interesting way. That'd be an interesting concert. Actually, I just watched a Netflix. Netflix is a 2-part series about Frank Sinatra, and they started off with a concert, what was going to be his farewell concert, and he chose 11 songs to kind of span his life and career in music. Which 11, I don't know if I could boil it down to 11, but he was doing all ballads, so they all took. The Holly and the Ivy was the first one on the hammer dulcimer. That's the other thing. If you play multiple instruments, you will have some tunes that were the intro tunes that you were first able to do on that instrument. And that's useful to know. Yeah. Well, there we have it, friends. I want to thank you for your attention today in this live stream. It is very smoky here. I hear that, Jim, it's the same in Colorado. we've got about 7 wildfires burning around us that were all originated with lightning strikes over the weekend. And we have rolling blackouts, and it's really hot in here because if we let the outside cool air in, it is all smoky. But in this COVID time, I'm used to wearing a mask. So I just came back from riding my bicycle, and 2 masks. I came in and I didn't smell any smoke when I was outside, but when I came in, I smelled it because it smelled like smoke in the house, although to a lesser degree than outside. But wherever you are, I hope you are well. I hope you have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and you have the love of good people around you. And if not, you have the love of good music to hold you. Next week, what is our theme next week? I remembered when I looked at it, but I can't remember now. It'll be, as soon as I stop this, it'll show up in the list of what is going on next week. But next week, same time. Just a reminder, the Quarantine Dulcimer Festival is the following weekend, but this is the last week, the final week to register for classes. And I've still got several openings in mine. I've got openings in my, let me look at, do I have my phone? Oh, here it is. Yes. This kind of process we talked about here, learning knee to knee on the hammer dulcimer. How do you learn traditional tunes traditionally? There's some space in that one. Strategies for singing with a hammer dulcimer has just got three slots left. My modes on the hammer dulcimer class has got 7 slots. All the dots, strathspeys and hornpipes, Celtic music with dots. Strategies for learning the tunes with dots. I know a lot of people are struggling with dots. That one has got plenty of seats in it. Playing blues in the hammer dulcimer's got plenty of seats in it. And let's see. Arranging and leading dulcimer focused ensembles. That's for both mountain and hammer dulcimer. That one's got several seats in it too. So all of those, you're welcome, Nan. All of those still have some room in them. If you would like to go register, you have to do it before 11 p.m. on, let's get, here we go. Yeah, I did this search string to see which tunes still had some room, which classes still had some room in them. If they say sold out or they don't appear here, it's because they're sold out. And not just my classes. There are several other people. A lot of them got filled right off the bat, but there's a lot of other great workshops and classes that are available. So Quarantine Dulcimer Fest or virtualdulcimerfest.com. Registration ends Saturday the 22nd at 11 p.m. And concert tickets are also available. And there's going to be 4 concerts this time. It's silly cheap. A $25 ticket for 4 concerts. That's just ridiculous. So because that's so affordable, be certain to tip the artists because this is a way to support those of us who cannot travel and come to see you at your festival. So, and Dulcimer Crossing is a proud sponsor of this festival too. Well, that wraps it up for me today. I hope you have a great week. You can always write to me with questions or comments or feedback at steve@dulcimercrossing.com. I do see those quicker than I see notifications on Facebook. I don't have Messenger on my phone. And when I do sit down at the computer, I'm usually working, so I don't just peruse. But so Steve at Dulcimer Crossing is the best and quickest way to get a response from me. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your kind attention today. And I hope, like I said, you have clean air, clear water, the love of good people, and the love of good tunes. Bye.